The 2010s, a dark and desolate wasteland of never-ending failures for video game movies.
I made you.
Yeah. Big mistake.
Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, Hitman, Twice. All tragic casualties of the live-action adaptation wars. But standing like a man amongst boys, the undisputed worst video game movie I have ever seen has got to be Tekken 2, Kazuya's Revenge. I wouldn't be surprised if you've never heard of it, since I'm pretty sure someone went around assassinating anyone that knew of its existence. But since they haven't gotten to me yet, I'm here to fill you in on this glorious trash fire of a film. Unfortunately, there are no known humans that can coherently summarize this epic masterpiece. Like the stream of consciousness writings of James Joyce, Tekken 2 is simply too complex, with too many interweaving plotlines, rife with setups without payoffs, and payoffs without setups. Seriously, try reading the Wikipedia entry for it. It's borderline schizophrenic. But all you really need to know here is that there's an amnesiac protagonist named K.
You're a big K.
Who it turns out, and you're never gonna believe this reveal, is Kazuya from Tekken. So K gets captured by some weird cult that force him to be an assassin. I say force, but K seems to go along with it with zero resistance, so maybe he's into murder. Meanwhile, K is trying to recover his memories and discovering that he's a badass that doesn't like guns.
I don't like guns.
And while that sounds simple enough, the trouble is that's just the first 10 minutes of the movie. Kazuya then just wanders around like David Carradine from Kung Fu, getting into random fights and moping or contemplating or something. I honestly can't get a read on a single emotion from this actor. From there, the movie takes a weird turn into noir territory, with our protagonist getting seduced by a young dame that turns out to be working for the bad guys. And I'm not leaving anything out here. There is literally zero setup for this shit. There's also the bizarre subplot with the guy who played Boris the Bullet Dodger in Snatch.
Why do they call him the Bullet Dodger? Because he dodges bullets heavy.
Who's giving Kazuya his assassination missions. I think he's supposed to be some kind of cult leader / mafia boss that runs all crime in the city. And by city, I mean the 3 square blocks they had to shoot in. So he comes off as more of a pathetic slumlord than a menacing gang leader. And since Boris from Snatch was only available for about 6 hours of filming, he spends most of it mumbling clearly improvised gibberish dialogue into a PA system that has nothing to do with anything. And when I say improvised gibberish, I am talking
proper horseshit.
My friends, my warriors, my sinners.
He also puts a bomb in Kazuya's head at the start of the movie. This is never brought up again until Kazuya randomly asks his nurse friend to perform surgery on him, with no surgical equipment, in his nasty-ass bachelor pad. And then, since there's really nothing else for Boris the Bullet Dodger to do in this film, this random lady just stabs him to death. That's the main villain of the movie, by the way. And he's just dead.
Let's go.
He doesn't even have any henchmen to protect him. Come on, dude. Honestly, I just felt bad for him. It's like watching my grandpa die or something. But since they have now killed off the main antagonist of the story, the writers realized, oh shit, we still need a final fight in this movie, right? And boy oh boy, did they come up with a killer idea for that. Halfway through the movie, we see a mysterious figure staring at Kazuya.
Yeah, boy.
It's Heihachi Mishima, played by none other than the Mortal Kombat guy. So at least we get a sweet final action sequence with Heihachi versus Kazuya, right? Nope.
Not today.
Heihachi just leaves and the movie ends on a cliffhanger. What the fuck? I could go on and on with unnecessary subplots, like Kazuya being a clone that was made by Heihachi, something we only learn in the final 10 minutes of the movie, and is never addressed, and there's not gonna be a sequel, so fuck that anyway. And weird setups that don't go anywhere, like this janitor dude whose son murdered his wife or something, and it doesn't matter, but they spend like 10 minutes on it. But the point is, you really need to experience this shit to believe it. Everyone knows the best part of Tekken is the wacky characters. Heihachi, king, Yoshimitsu. Yeah, it's got deep fight mechanics, but look, you can fight as a mother flippin' panda. So naturally, the filmmakers decided to go with the bland, obvious choice of Kazuya Mishima as the protagonist. But fair enough, I guess he's sorta the main character of Tekken, maybe? But for some inexplicable reason, they just don't call him Kazuya. They call him
K.
It's K.
I can't think of another movie that's as embarrassed about its origins as this one. But whatever, a charismatic actor could make it work, right? Well, that's why they chose to skip hiring an actor and just went with a stunt guy from the local gym instead. Seriously, the acting chops on this guy.
Why me? Who am I?
Daniel Day-Lewis got nothing on you, buddy. Who made this shit anyway? The name of the director is Witch Chaos, which would be fine if we lived in Westeros, but here on Earth, it's a little sus. And Witch Chaos seems to actively hate every Tekken character, since other than Kazuya, there is only one other real Tekken character in this movie, and that's Heihachi. And since they could only afford to hire the Mortal Kombat guy to play Heihachi for about 3 hours, all he has time to do is stare menacingly at the camera with barely any speaking lines. And that's it. That's the movie's only references to Tekken characters, except for like a 2-minute cameo by Brian Fury, who doesn't look anything like Brian Fury. So the whole time I was just wondering, who the hell are these people? Who's this lady? Why couldn't she be like Nina Williams or something? Why is Boris the Bullet Dodger here? Show me Eddie Gordo, not this discount capoeira breakdancer. So many missed opportunities.
I want out.
So I have a theory I'm pulling straight out of my ass with zero research. I think what happened here is that they weren't sure if they had the rights to Tekken until they were already in the editing studio. So then they just reshot a couple of scenes and dubbed a few lines and then sold it as a Tekken movie. See, it says Tekken right there. Seriously, the balls on these filmmakers is to be admired. Unfortunately, no amount of balls can compensate for their lack of talent and their lack of budget. This is the first movie I've seen in a long time that looked about as cheap as The Room.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit.
The whole movie is shot in what appears to be a couple of courtyards in an abandoned housing project / slum in the Philippines. I'm also pretty sure it's supposed to be the future. Look at that awesome neon sign. This movie is basically Cyberpunk 2077, even though it just looks like present-day Southeast Asia, which comes off as rather offensive when you realize the film is presenting this as some kind of nightmare dystopia.
Many have set up slums, little encampments they call their home.
They basically had one CGI shot that they were able to afford, a swooping establishing shot of the sci-fi Tekken city where the action is happening. Unfortunately, we then cut back to the actual sets and they look like this. Not very sci-fi at all. And since they only had the one CGI shot, they cut it up and used it multiple times, making the transition back to the miserable slum set mind-numbingly jarring every single time. Next, we see this exact set used twice in back-to-back shots, pretending to be different locations. Do the filmmakers know that not every member of their audience has brain damage? Also, what the fuck is going on here? Was this whole set just here so Kazuya could walk by and witness a pointless murder? Is this some kind of CIA psyops? And then there's the sad little stadium set, a pathetic dust bowl which just appears to be the poorly maintained track and field facility of the local high school. But it's supposed to be some kind of grand fight arena. But maybe they saved money on locations and CGI so they could afford to choreograph great fight scenes, right? A Tekken movie lives and dies by its fight scenes after all. Oh my god, they fucked that up too. God fucking damn it! Filler in a movie is bad enough. Filler in a movie under 90 minutes is worse. But the greatest sin in all of filmmaking is filler in a movie under 90 minutes played in slow motion. That should be like a war crime. Which is why when Tekken played the exact same filler shots in slow motion multiple times, I was just like,
You're crazy.
And this is all in a movie where they had way too much story to begin with, and none of it fits together or makes any sense or is remotely fleshed out, and yet they took valuable screen time away from all these glaring issues and spent it on long, slow motion sequences that go nowhere. It's really like children made this. It's endearing and hilarious and awesome. Tekken performs the triple whammy of bad writing, bad acting, and bad production, which wins it a special place in my heart. I give this movie 6 stars on a scale of 5. Trust me, as great as some of the new video game adaptations are getting, nothing can entertain you like Tekken 2, Kazuya's Revenge. Hope you give it a shot. Cheers, I'll see you in the next one.